Nyelle Baptiste was ankle-deep in the Pacific Ocean, collecting water samples for her marine research, when she felt tiny fingers tugging at her wetsuit. She turned to find a little girl, no more than 3 or 4 years old, staring up at her with enormous dark eyes brimming with tears. The child wore an expensive white dress that looked completely out of place on the beach, and her small fist clutched a crumpled $100 bill. "Please," the little girl whispered in a voice so broken it made Nyelle's heart stop. "I have money. Can you be my mommy today? Just today?" Nyelle dropped to her knees in the wet sand, her research forgotten. Up the beach, she spotted 2 large men in dark suits watching intently, hands positioned near concealed weapons. This wasn't a lost child. This was something far more dangerous. "Sweetheart, what's your name?" Nyelle asked gently, ignoring the instinct screaming at her to walk away. "Isul," the little girl sobbed. "And I don't want to be alone anymore." Before we dive into this emotional storm, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Drop a comment right now telling me, would you help this child, even if it meant entering a dangerous world? Because Nyelle is about to make a choice that will change everything. Let's get into it. Nyelle Baptiste had a PhD in marine biology, 2 part-time jobs, and exactly $47 in her checking account until Friday. She understood the value of a $100 bill. But as she looked at the tiny girl holding out that crumpled money with shaking hands, she knew with absolute certainty that whatever was happening here had nothing to do with money. "Isul, where's your father?" Nyelle asked, keeping her voice calm even as her pulse raced. She was acutely aware of the armed men watching them, of the expensive SUV idling in the parking lot, of how completely out of her depth she was. "He's sad," Isul said simply. "He's always sad. And scared. He won't let me go anywhere without the scary men, and everyone at school is afraid of me, and I just wanted one day where someone smiled at me like I was normal." The girl's bottom lip trembled. "You smiled at the ocean. Like it made you happy. I want someone to smile at me like that." Nyelle's throat tightened. She'd grown up in Haiti until she was 10, had immigrated to Los Angeles with nothing, had fought her way through every obstacle life threw at her. She recognized desperation when she saw it. "Those men watching us," Nyelle said carefully. "They work for your father?" Isul nodded. "They follow me everywhere. But I asked them to let me talk to you alone. I told them I'd scream if they came close." Pride flickered in her small voice. "They know I'll do it. I screamed in the grocery store last week when people were staring." Despite everything, Nyelle felt a smile tug at her lips. This little girl had spirit beneath the sadness. "Okay, Isul. Here's what we're going to do." Nyelle made a decision that her best friend Tatiana would absolutely kill her for later. "You keep your $100. I don't want your money. But if you need someone today, I'll be that person." "Where do you need me?" The hope that flooded Isul's face was devastating. "There's a thing at my school," she whispered. "A family picnic. All the other kids have mommies and daddies who come together. I just have scary guards who stand far away. I don't want to be the weird girl again. Please." Before Nyelle could respond, one of the suited men was approaching, phone pressed to his ear, his expression grim. "Miss, I need you to step away from the child," he said in accented English, his hand hovering near his jacket. "No." Isul threw herself at Nyelle, wrapping small arms around her waist. She said yes. "She's coming with me." "Isul Young, your father doesn't know this woman. It's not safe." "Nothing is safe." The little girl's scream was primal, full of rage and fear. "You say that about everything. The whole world isn't safe, so I can't have anything." Nyelle held the trembling child, meeting the guard's eyes steadily. "I'm not a threat. My name is Nyelle Baptiste. I'm a marine biologist at UCLA. You can run my background, check whatever you need to check. But this little girl asked me for help, and I don't walk away from children who need help." The guard spoke rapidly in Korean into his phone, then looked back at Nyelle with something that might have been respect. "Mr. Ryu will want to meet you first," he said finally. "If you're serious about this, you'll need to come with us." "Now." "Where?" "The estate. He's on his way back from a meeting." The guard's expression was unreadable. "I should warn you, Mr. Ryu doesn't like surprises." And you, Ms. Baptiste, are going to be a very significant surprise. Nyelle should have said no. Should have apologized to Isul and walked away from whatever criminal empire had clearly claimed this child. Instead, she grabbed her research bag and followed the guards to the SUV, with Isul's small hand clutched tightly in hers. The drive took them into the Pacific Palisades Hills, where properties cost more than Nyelle would earn in 10 lifetimes. When they finally pulled through massive gates into a hilltop estate, Nyelle's breath caught despite her nervousness. The house was stunning, modern architecture of glass and stone, perched to overlook the Pacific. But there was something fortress-like about it too. Security cameras, high walls, armed guards at every entrance. This wasn't just wealth. This was power. Dangerous power. Isul led Nyelle inside, chattering nervously about her room and her toys, and the mean girl at school who said Isul's mommy was dead, so she didn't count as a real person. That girl is wrong, Nyelle said firmly. You count. You matter. And your mommy loved you, didn't she? Isul's eyes filled with tears. I don't remember her. She died when I was a baby. Everyone says I look just like her, but I don't even remember her face. Before Nyelle could respond, every guard in the room suddenly straightened. The front door opened, and Nyelle's entire world tilted on its axis. The man who entered was tall, lean, and moved with the controlled grace of a predator. His tailored black suit probably cost more than her car, and his dark eyes scanned the room with the efficiency of someone constantly assessing threats. But it was his face that made Nyelle's breath stop. Sharp, beautiful features that would have been elegant if not for the hard set of his jaw and the cold authority in his expression. This was a man who commanded empires, who made people disappear with a word, who walked through the world knowing everyone either feared or wanted something from him. Ryu Saiwan stopped dead when he saw Nyelle. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, surprise, wariness, and something else she couldn't identify. Then his gaze dropped to his daughter, who was still holding Nyelle's hand. Appa. Isul ran to him, and Nyelle watched this terrifying man's entire demeanor transform as he dropped to one knee and caught his daughter in his arms. Ne sarung, he murmured into her hair. What have you done? I found someone, Isul said proudly. Someone who said yes. Saiwan's eyes met Nyelle's over his daughter's head, and the intensity in that gaze made her skin prickle with awareness. Ms. Baptiste, he said, rising with Isul in his arms. My men tell me my daughter offered you money to pretend to be her mother. She did. I refused the money. But not the request. No. Why? The question was sharp. What do you want? I want your daughter to have one good day, Nyelle said, lifting her chin. That's all. Nobody does something for nothing. Especially not when it involves people like me. People like you? Don't pretend ignorance. You're clearly intelligent. You've seen the security, the guards. You know what this is. He set Isul down gently. Go to your room, sweetheart. I need to talk to Ms. Baptiste alone. But now, Isul. The little girl looked between them, then trudged away, glancing back with worried eyes. The moment she was gone, the temperature in the room dropped. My daughter is the single most valuable thing in my world, Saiwan said quietly, and there was deadly promise in his voice. Which makes her a target for my enemies. So I'll ask you again, and I suggest you think very carefully about your answer. Why would a stranger agree to insert herself into my daughter's life? Because a 3-year-old was crying on a beach, and I have a functioning heart, Nyelle shot back, fear giving way to anger. I don't know what kind of world you live in where basic human kindness is suspicious, but maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe it's that your daughter is so isolated and desperate that she's literally trying to hire strangers to care about her. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, shockingly, Saiwan's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. You have no idea how dangerous it is to speak to me that way. Then maybe you should stop being so threatening and start being grateful that someone wants to help your child. For a long moment, they stared at each other, a battle of wills crackling in the air between them. Mr. On, Saiwan said without looking away from Nyelle. Run a complete background check. Everything. One of the guards nodded and left. Sit, Saiwan commanded, gesturing to the expensive furniture. We're going to have a very frank conversation about what happens next. Nyelle sat, her heart hammering, and tried not to think about how in over her head she was. Or how the most dangerous man she'd ever met was also somehow the most magnetic. 20 minutes later, Nyelle knew that Ryu Saiwon had access to information that should have been private. He knew about her student loans, her 3 part-time jobs, her mother's ongoing medical treatments back in Miami, her younger brother's trouble with the law last year, even her publication record in marine biology journals. "You're thorough," she said tightly. "I'm careful." Saiwon leaned back in his chair, studying her like a puzzle to solve. "Dr. Baptiste, yes, I know about your PhD. You're either remarkably brave or remarkably foolish. I haven't decided which. Maybe I'm just someone who saw a child in pain and couldn't walk away. That kind of compassion will get you killed in my world. Then maybe your world is the problem." His eyes flashed with something, anger, maybe, or grudging respect. "My world is reality. And the reality is that I run an organization that most people are terrified of. My enemies would love to use my daughter against me. Any stranger who approaches her is automatically a potential threat. I'm a marine biologist with a grant proposal due next week and a wetsuit that needs patching. I'm not a threat to anyone. Perhaps not intentionally." Saiwon stood, moving to the window that overlooked the Pacific. With his back to her, he seemed younger somehow, more vulnerable. But intentions don't matter when bullets start flying. Nyelle's stomach dropped. "Has that happened? Has someone tried to hurt Isol?" "3 times. His voice was flat. "The first when she was 6 months old. Someone planted a car bomb meant for me. Her nanny was killed shielding her. The second when she was 18 months old, a kidnapping attempt that my men stopped. The third was last year. Someone poisoned her food at a restaurant. Oh my God. She survived all 3 because I've built a fortress around her. Guards, protocols, security that most heads of state would envy." He turned back to face Nyelle. "But I haven't figured out how to protect her from loneliness, from isolation, from the fact that other children are afraid of her because their parents warn them to stay away from the Mafia boss's daughter." The pain in his voice was raw, and it cut through every defense Nyelle had constructed. "She just wants to be normal," Nyelle said softly. "Even for a day. There is no normal for her. There never will be. There could be small moments, small mercies. And you want to provide those?" Saiwon moved closer, and Nyelle fought the urge to stand, to equalize the power dynamic. "Why? What does a marine biologist gain from babysitting a crime lord's daughter? Maybe not everything is transactional. In my experience, everything is transactional. So name your price, Dr. Baptiste. How much for you to be my daughter's companion at her school event tomorrow?" Nyelle stood then, anger overriding caution. "I already told your daughter I don't want money. I want her to have one good day." "Why is that so impossible for you to believe?" "Because I've learned that people who claim to want nothing are usually after something much worse than money." "Well, I'm not. So either let me help Isol, or I'll leave and you can explain to your daughter why you sent away the first person who's tried to connect with her in God knows how long." They were inches apart now, tension crackling between them. Nyelle could see the war playing out in Saiwon's eyes, suspicion against hope, control against desperation. "One event," he said finally. "Tomorrow. Under guard. If I sense anything wrong, anything at all, it ends immediately." "Fine. And after tomorrow, we're done. You go back to your life, my daughter goes back to hers. If that's what you want. It's what's safe." Nyelle held his gaze. "Safety isn't the same as living. When you have a child," Saiwon said quietly, "you'll understand that safety is the only thing that matters." Before Nyelle could respond, rapid footsteps echoed in the hallway. A man burst into the room, younger than Saiwon, with wilder energy and barely contained panic. "Hyungnim, we have a problem," he said in Korean, then noticed Nyelle and switched to English. "The shipment was intercepted. Kang is demanding a meeting tonight, and he's bringing his whole crew. He thinks we set him up." Saiwon's entire demeanor changed, the conflicted father vanishing behind the cold executive. "How many?" "At least 20. Maybe more." "Location?" "The warehouse on Terminal Island." "Midnight." Saiwon's jaw tightened. "Alone." "He specified you alone, or he starts burning assets." Nyelle watched this exchange with growing dread, understanding that she was seeing the reality of Siwon's world, a world where midnight meetings and threats were standard operating procedure. "I'll be there," Siwon said. Then to Nyelle, "Mr. On will drive you home. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., he'll pick you up for Isol's event." "Wait. This doesn't concern you, Dr. Baptiste. I suggest you leave before it does." It was a dismissal, cold and final. But as Nyelle was escorted out, she passed Isol's room and heard soft crying. She stopped. "Can I say goodbye?" Mr. On hesitated, then nodded. Isol was curled on her bed, clutching a stuffed dolphin, tears streaming down her small face. "Hey," Nyelle sat beside her. "What's wrong?" "You're leaving," Isol sobbed. "Everyone always leaves." "I'm coming back tomorrow." "I promise." "You promise." "I promise." "We're going to your school event, and we're going to have the best day, okay?" Isol threw her arms around Nyelle's neck, and Nyelle held the small, broken girl, wondering what the hell she'd gotten herself into. "Your daddy is just scared," Nyelle whispered. "He loves you so much that it scares him." "Is that why he's always sad?" "Yeah, baby. That's why." After Nyelle left, after she was back in her tiny apartment explaining to a furious Tatiana why she'd agreed to help a literal crime boss's daughter, she couldn't stop thinking about Siwon's eyes. About the loneliness she'd seen there. About the midnight meeting he was walking into. About the little girl crying herself to sleep in a fortress that couldn't protect her from the one thing she needed most: love. Nyelle pulled up her laptop and started researching. Ryu Siwon. Korean-American businessman. Suspected ties to organized crime. Multiple investigations, no convictions. Rumored to control shipping ports, real estate, and half the Korean businesses in Los Angeles. His late wife, Yuna. Violinist. Killed 3 years ago in what was officially ruled a random shooting, but widely suspected to be an assassination. And Isol. 3 years old. The most photographed and most protected child in Koreatown. Nyelle was about to close her laptop when a news alert popped up. Breaking. Explosion at Terminal Island warehouse. Multiple casualties reported. Her heart stopped. The warehouse. The midnight meeting. Siwon. Without thinking, Nyelle grabbed her phone and called the number Mr. On had given her for emergencies. It rang. And rang. And rang. No answer. Oh my God, did Siwon survive that explosion? And what is Nyelle going to do? If you're as hooked as I am, make sure you've hit that like button and drop a comment telling me, do you think Siwon is okay? Should Nyelle get more involved or run while she still can? Keep watching because what happens next is going to shock you. At 2:37 a.m., Nyelle's phone finally rang. Dr. Baptiste. It was Mr. On, and his voice was strained. "Mr. Ryu wanted me to inform you that tomorrow's arrangements still stand." "Is he alive?" A pause. "Yes." "Is he hurt?" "That's not your concern." "The hell it isn't." There was an explosion, which Mr. Ryu survived. "That's all you need to know." Mr. On's voice softened slightly. "But if you happen to arrive early tomorrow, around 8 a.m. instead of 10, Isol would likely appreciate breakfast with you. Mr. Ryu will still be at the hospital." The line went dead. Nyelle didn't sleep. At 7:30 a.m., she was in the car Mr. On sent, her stomach in knots. The estate looked the same in daylight, beautiful and fortified. But there was increased security, more guards, a tension in the air that screamed danger. Isol ran to her the moment she entered, throwing herself into Nyelle's arms. "You came early. Did you come for breakfast?" "I did." "Is your father home?" "No. He had to go to the hospital because bad men tried to hurt him, but he's okay, and I'm not supposed to be scared, but I am scared," and the words tumbled out in a rush before Isol burst into tears. Nyelle held her, rocking slowly, fury building in her chest. This baby had to live with the constant fear of losing her father to violence. They were having breakfast, Isol chattering nervously about her school friends, when the front door opened. Siwon entered, and Nyelle's breath caught. His suit was gone, replaced by black pants and a white shirt with the sleeve cut away on his left arm, which was wrapped in professional bandages. His face was haggard, a bruise blooming along his jaw, but he was alive. "Appa." Isol scrambled down from her chair, but one of the guards gently stopped her. Careful of his arm, Isolyang. Saiwon knelt, awkwardly, favoring his left side, and let his daughter carefully hug him. I'm okay, he murmured in Korean. I'm okay, ne sarang. Over Isol's head, his eyes met Nyelle's. She saw exhaustion, pain, and something else, surprised that she was there. After Isol was distracted with her toys, Saiwon approached Nyelle in the kitchen where she was cleaning up breakfast dishes. You came early, he said. Mr. On suggested it. Did he? It wasn't a question. Saiwon would be having words with Mr. On later. You didn't have to. A 3-year-old was scared her father might die. Yes, I did have to. Nyelle set down the dish she was washing and turned to face him. What happened last night? Nothing you need to worry about. Saiwon. How do you know my first name? I googled you. Imagine my surprise finding out the man whose daughter I'm helping is suspected of running half the criminal enterprises in Los Angeles. Suspected. Never proven. That's your defense? I don't need to defend myself to you, Dr. Baptiste. No, you just need to show up bleeding and terrified your daughter while pretending everything is fine. Saiwon's eyes flashed dangerously. You have no idea what you're talking about. Then explain it to me. Nyelle's voice rose, frustration boiling over. Explain why a beautiful little girl has to live in a fortress. Explain why you're walking into meetings that explode. Explain why you're choosing this life when it's clearly destroying you both. You think I chose this? Saiwon's control finally snapped. I inherited an empire built on blood and loyalty and debts 3 generations deep. I can't just walk away. People depend on me, territories depend on me, and if I leave, a war starts that will consume everything, including my daughter. So instead you stay and let it consume you slowly? I'm trying. The roar echoed through the kitchen. I'm trying to transition to legitimate business. I'm trying to extract us from the dangerous operations. But it takes time, and people like Kong don't want to let go of profitable crime. And last night he tried to kill me because I refused to let him use my shipping containers for human trafficking. The admission hung in the air between them. Nyelle felt her anger deflate, replaced by something else entirely. Your shipping containers? My legitimate shipping business. The one I'm trying to build. Saiwon leaned against the counter, suddenly looking exhausted. I own Ryu Maritime, one of the largest independent shipping operations on the West Coast. I've been transitioning it away from questionable cargo, implementing environmental protocols, sustainability initiatives, proper inspections. Kong sees that as weakness, as lost profit. Nyelle's mind raced. Environmental protocols? What kind? Why does that matter? Because I'm a marine biologist, and I need to know if you're actually doing something good or just greenwashing criminal activity. Despite his exhaustion, Saiwon's lips twitched. Wastewater treatment systems. Whole designs that reduce ocean pollution. Partnership with NOAA for marine mammal protection in shipping lanes. It's cost me millions in the short term, but he stopped. Why am I telling you this? Because you're proud of it, Nyelle said softly, understanding dawning. You're trying to build something better. I'm trying to build something my daughter won't be ashamed of. Something that doesn't require armed guards and fortress walls. His voice roughened. The explosion was meant to intimidate me, to show what happens when I disrupt the old ways. 3 of my men were injured. 1 is in critical condition. I'm sorry. Don't be. They knew the risks. He looked at her, really looked at her, and Nyelle felt something shift between them. You should still leave. This world, it destroys everything good that touches it. My wife learned that the hard way. Tell me about her, Nyelle said softly. Why? Because your daughter doesn't remember her, and someone should tell Isol who her mother was. And because I think you need to say her name out loud. Saiwon was quiet for so long Nyelle thought he wouldn't answer. Then, Yuna was a violinist. Brilliant, passionate, kind. She saw beauty in everything. I met her at a charity concert, and I knew immediately I should stay away. She was too good for my world. Too pure. His voice roughened. But I was selfish. I wanted her anyway. Convinced her I could keep her safe, keep our family separate from the business. I was wrong. The shooting 3 years ago. We were at dinner. A rival organization wanted to send me a message. They shot up the restaurant. Yuna died instantly. Isol was in a car seat, barely 1 year old. She was hit by flying glass. 7 stitches in her arm. He closed his eyes. That's my fault. My world did that to her. It wasn't your fault. Yes, it was. Just like it's my fault she lives in a fortress. My fault she can't have normal friends. My fault she's so desperate for a mother figure that she's offering strangers money on beaches. Nyelle stepped closer. You're not responsible for the evil other people do. I'm responsible for putting my family in their path. Then change paths. Actually do it, don't just try. Burn it all down if you have to. And condemn hundreds of people to unemployment? Start a war that will kill dozens? It's not that simple, Nyelle. The use of her first name sent a jolt through her. Before either could say more, Isul appeared in the doorway. Are we still going to my school? She asked in a small voice. Or are you too hurt, Appa? Siwon's expression softened. I'm not coming to the school, Nesarung. But Nyelle is. Just like she promised. You're not coming? Disappointment filled Isul's eyes. I have to work. But Nyelle. No, Nyelle interrupted. You're coming. Excuse me. Your daughter wants both of us there. So we're both going. You can work tomorrow. Today, you're being a father. She half expected him to explode at her presumption. Instead, he stared at her like she'd spoken in an alien language. The last family event I attended, he started, was probably too long ago. So we're fixing that. Now. Nyelle held out her hand to Isul. Come on, let's pick out your outfit while your father gets cleaned up. As she led Isul away, she felt Siwon's eyes on her back. She was absolutely, definitely, 100% in over her head. But something about this broken man and his desperate daughter had grabbed hold of her heart, and Nyelle had never been good at letting go once she cared. Even when caring might get her killed. The school event was held at an exclusive private academy that looked more like a country club than an educational institution. Parents in designer clothes mingled on perfectly manicured lawns, while children played under the watchful eyes of teachers. Nyelle felt every eye on them as they arrived. Siwon in a fresh suit despite his injuries, Isul in a yellow dress, and Nyelle in her nicest outfit that still screamed, doesn't belong here. But it was Siwon who drew the real attention. Parents whispered. Children pointed. Teachers looked nervous. The Koreanmafia boss had actually shown up to a school event. Isul seemed oblivious, dragging them toward the activities with infectious enthusiasm. That's my friend Mina, she said, pointing to another little girl. Mina, look. My Appa came. And this is Nyelle. Mina's mother took one look at Siwon and quickly pulled her daughter away. Isul's face fell. How about we try the art station? Nyelle suggested quickly, shooting a glare at Mina's mother that could have melted steel. For the next hour, they painted, played games, and ate mediocre picnic food. Isul was radiant, showing off both her father and Nyelle to anyone who would listen. Most people were polite but distant, fear evident in their eyes. But Nyelle noticed something else. Siwon was terrible at this. He sat stiffly through activities, clearly uncomfortable. When other parents tried to make small talk, his responses were clipped and formal. He treated the event like a business meeting, not a chance to play with his daughter. During a quiet moment while Isul was on the playground, Nyelle confronted him. You're scaring people. I'm not trying to. You're acting like the Terminator at a children's birthday party. Relax. I don't relax. I've noticed. She studied his tense posture, the way his eyes constantly scanned for threats. When was the last time you just existed? Not worked, not strategized, just were. I don't have that luxury. Everyone has that luxury. You just choose not to take it. Easy for you to say. Your choices don't have body counts. The brutal honesty stole her breath. Before she could respond, Isul came running back. Appa, Nyelle, can we do the three-legged race? Please. Siwon looked pained. Sweetheart, my leg. I'll do it with you, Nyelle said quickly, then lowered her voice. And you will cheer. Loudly. Like a normal father. His lips twitched, not quite a smile, but close. You're very bossy. You're very difficult. This time he definitely almost smiled. The race was chaos. Nyelle and Isul fell twice, laughing hysterically both times. And, true to his word, Siwon cheered, awkwardly at first, then with genuine enthusiasm as his daughter's giggles filled the air. For just a moment, he looked younger, less burdened, almost happy. Nyelle caught his eye across the field, and the intensity in his gaze made her stumble. There was something building between them, something dangerous and inevitable. After the event, back at the estate, Isolde was exhausted and happy, chattering about the day as Nyelle helped her get ready for bed. "Did you see Appa cheering?" she asked, eyes bright. "He never does that. He was very proud of you. I wish every day could be like today." Isolde's voice went quiet. "With you and Appa together. Like a real family." Nyelle's heart clenched. "Sweetheart, I know you're not really my mom. I'm not stupid." Isolde's bottom lip trembled. "But can we pretend? Just for a little while." "Oh, baby." Nyelle pulled her close. "You don't have to pretend. I care about you for real. That's not fake. Promise?" "Promise." After Isolde fell asleep, Nyelle found Siwen in his study, papers spread everywhere, that familiar exhaustion settling over him. "She's asleep," Nyelle said from the doorway. "Thank you. For today." He set down his pen. "I can't remember the last time she smiled that much. You should make it happen more often. I should do a lot of things." He stood, moving to the window. "I've been thinking about what you said. About burning it all down. And I have a meeting with federal investigators tomorrow. I'm going to offer them everything, all my information on criminal operations in exchange for immunity and protection for my family." Nyelle's eyes widened. "You're serious?" "I'm exhausted. I'm tired of living like this, raising my daughter in a fortress, watching her beg strangers for maternal affection because my world is too dangerous for normal relationships." He turned to face her. "You were right. It's time to choose a different path." "That's incredibly brave. That's incredibly selfish. I'm putting dozens of people at risk. Starting a war. Also, I can have a chance at a normal life." "A normal life for Isolde," Nyelle corrected. "That's not selfish. Isn't it?" He moved closer, and Nyelle's breath caught at the intensity in his eyes. "Because I'm not just doing this for Isolde. I'm doing it because in the last 2 days, you've made me want things I thought were impossible. Made me hope that maybe I could have something real. Something good. Siwen, I know it's insane. I barely know you. You barely know me. But when you're with Isolde, when you're challenging me and refusing to be intimidated, I feel human again. Not just a crime lord. Not just a father consumed with fear. Human." He was inches away now, close enough that Nyelle could feel his warmth. "I'm falling for you," he said quietly. "God help me, I'm falling for you, and I know I have no right to drag you further into this disaster of a life, but I can't seem to stop myself." "Siwen," Nyelle breathed, her heart racing. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. "Tell me this is crazy and you want nothing to do with me, and I'll arrange a generous payment for your time, and you can walk away clean." "What if I don't want to walk away?" The hope that flashed in his eyes was devastating. "Then you're as crazy as I am. Probably." She reached up, cupping his face gently, mindful of his bruises. "But I've never been good at self-preservation." When he kissed her, it was like coming home and jumping off a cliff simultaneously, terrifying and inevitable and absolutely right. His hands tangled in her hair, pulling her closer. Her fingers traced the muscles of his back, feeling him shudder under her touch. The kiss deepened, desperate and hungry, like they were both starving for connection. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Siwen rested his forehead against hers. "This is going to get complicated," he murmured. "It's already complicated. It's going to get dangerous. I'm starting to think danger is just part of your package deal." He smiled, a real, genuine smile that transformed his entire face. "Stay. Not just for today. Stay and help me figure out how to build something better. For Isolde. For us. I don't even know what us means yet. Neither do I. But I want to find out." Nyelle knew this was reckless. Knew she was falling for a man whose world could consume her. Knew she was getting attached to a child who wasn't hers. But when Siwen kissed her again, soft and sweet and full of promise, she decided that some risks were worth taking. Even the dangerous ones. Especially the dangerous ones. Nyelle woke to her phone vibrating at 5 a.m. Unknown number. Hello, Dr. Baptiste. This is Agent Sarah Chen, FBI. I need to speak with you immediately regarding Ryu Saiwon. Nyelle's blood went cold. What? We know you've been spending time at his estate. We know about his daughter. We need information, and we need it now. I'm not involved in his business. We have surveillance photos of you entering and leaving his property multiple times. Of you attending a school event with him and his daughter. In our world, that makes you involved. Agent Chen's voice softened slightly. Look, I'm not trying to scare you. But Ryu Saiwon is in danger, and if you care about him or his daughter at all, you'll help us protect them. Nyelle sat up, heart pounding. Protect them from what? Can we meet? There's a coffee shop on Wilshire, the Daily Grind. 1 hour. The line went dead. Nyelle dressed in a daze, her mind racing. She left a note for Tatiana and drove to the coffee shop, constantly checking her rearview mirror. Agent Chin was already there, a sharp-looking Korean-American woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Thank you for coming, she said as Nyelle sat down. I know this is frightening. What's going on? What danger? Agent Chin pulled out a tablet, showing Nyelle surveillance photos, men with guns, dark warehouses, clear criminal activity. Ryu Saiwon's organization has been on our radar for years. His father built an empire on extortion, money laundering, and illegal gambling. When Saiwon inherited, we hoped he'd be different. In some ways, he's been trying to go legitimate, refusing the more violent operations. But that's made him enemies. She swiped to new photos, a different man, older, with cruel eyes. This is Kong Min-sik, Saiwon's father's former second-in-command. When Saiwon started transitioning to legitimate business, Kong split off and formed his own operation. He's trying to take over Saiwon's territories, his assets, everything. And he'll kill anyone in his way. The explosion, Nyelle breathed, was Kang's opening move. He's building a war, Dr. Baptiste. And Saiwon is outnumbered. Agent Chin leaned forward. But there's something else. Something we've only recently discovered. She swiped to new images, shipping manifests, photos of containers, environmental reports. For the past 18 months, someone has been using Ryu Maritime's shipping containers to dump industrial waste in protected marine areas. Thousands of gallons of toxic materials have been illegally discharged into coastal waters. We're talking about massive environmental crimes, damage to coral reefs, contamination of marine habitats, violation of international environmental law. Nyelle felt sick. Saiwon told me he was implementing environmental protocols. He is. That's the problem. Someone is using his legitimate business as cover for environmental crimes, knowing that Saiwon's increased scrutiny makes it less likely authorities will look closely at his operations. It's brilliant, actually. Hide illegal dumping in plain sight using a company that's supposedly going green. You think it's Kong? We know it's Kong. We have evidence tying his organization to the waste disposal, to falsified manifests, to payoffs to port inspectors. But we can't prove it without Saiwon's cooperation. We need his shipping records, his security footage, his testimony about who had access to his containers. He's already planning to meet with you. He told me yesterday. Agent Chen's eyebrows rose. He told you that? Last night. He said he wants immunity and protection for his family in exchange for information. Then we need to move fast. Because Kang has a source inside Saiwon's organization. Someone close to him. Someone who's been feeding Kang information about Saiwon's movements, his plans, everything. Nyelle's mouth went dry. A mole. A mole who's been there for years. Who Saiwon trusts completely. Chen's expression was grim. That's why I need you. I need eyes inside his inner circle. Someone who can watch for suspicious behavior, for anything that seems off. Someone who can help us identify the traitor before they get Saiwon killed. You want me to spy on him? Nyelle felt sick. I want you to help us keep him alive. There's a difference. Chen pulled out photos of dead marine life, contaminated beaches, devastated ecosystems. And I want you to help us stop this. As a marine biologist, you understand what this kind of environmental damage means. Entire habitats destroyed. Species threatened. Decades of recovery needed. Nyelle stared at the photos, rage building in her chest. This was her life's work, protecting ocean ecosystems. And someone was deliberately destroying them for profit. If I do this, Nyelle said slowly, I want your word that Isol stays safe. No matter what happens, that little girl doesn't get hurt. You have my word. And Siwon gets full immunity? A real chance at a new life. If he gives us what we need to take down Kang and stop the environmental crimes, yes. Full immunity, witness protection if necessary, a clean start. Chin slid a burner phone across the table. This is for emergencies only. If you see anything suspicious, if Kong or his people show up, if you notice anyone acting strangely, you call me immediately. As Nyelle drove back to her apartment, the burner phone felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She was officially lying to Siwon. For a good reason, yes. To protect him and Isol and the ocean she devoted her life to studying. But still lying. Her phone rang, Siwon's number. Hello, Nyelle. His voice was warm and guilt twisted in her gut. Are you busy today? Isol wants to go to the aquarium, and she specifically requested you join us. Despite everything, Nyelle smiled. The aquarium is my happy place. I'd love to. Our security team will be with us, but I'll try to make it as normal as possible. Normal is overrated. I'll take happy over normal any day. She could hear the smile in his voice. See you in an hour? After he hung up, Nyelle stared at the burner phone in her hand. She was falling in love with a man she was secretly helping the FBI investigate. This would either end in salvation or disaster. Possibly both. The aquarium was magical. Isol pressed her face against the glass, watching jellyfish pulse with bioluminescent light, her eyes wide with wonder. Siwon stood behind her, one hand protectively on her shoulder, and Nyelle stood beside them, explaining the science behind the creature's glow. For a few hours, they were just a normal family on a normal outing. Except for the 4 security guards maintaining a discreet perimeter. And the way Siwon constantly scanned for threats. And the burner phone burning a hole in Nyelle's pocket. Can we see the sharks? Isol asked, bouncing with excitement. Lead the way, Nyelle said, taking her small hand. In the shark tunnel, a glass tube that allowed visitors to walk through the tank, Isol was transfixed by the massive creatures gliding overhead. They're not scary, she said confidently. They're just swimming. Like they're supposed to. You're right, Nyelle agreed. Sharks aren't monsters. They're just predators doing what predators do. Like Appa. Isol asked innocently. Siwon tensed beside her. Your father is protecting his family, Nyelle said carefully. That's different from being a predator. But people are scared of him. Like they're scared of sharks. Out of the mouths of babes. Sometimes people are scared of things they don't understand, Nyelle explained. It doesn't make those things bad. Just misunderstood. Isol considered this, then turned to Siwon. Are you misunderstood, Appa? Siwon knelt down to her level, and Nyelle saw raw emotion cross his face. I've done things I'm not proud of, ne sarung. Things that made people afraid of me. But I'm trying to be better. For you. Because you love me? Because I love you more than anything in this world. Isol threw her arms around his neck, and Nyelle had to look away before she started crying in the middle of the shark tunnel. When Isol ran ahead to the next exhibit, Siwon moved closer to Nyelle. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For giving her this. Normal days. Normal moments. I didn't realize how much she needed it until I saw her with you. She's an amazing kid, Siwon. You raised her well. I've kept her alive. You're teaching her to actually live. There's a difference. Before Nyelle could respond, one of the security guards approached, his expression grim. Sir, we have a situation. 3 of Kang's men just entered the building. Everything changed. Siwon's entire demeanor shifted, the loving father vanishing behind the crime boss. Where's Isol? Already secured with Mr. On. Exit routes? 2 clear, 1 potentially compromised. Move everyone to the east exit. Now. Nyelle grabbed Siwon's arm. What's happening? Kong is making a statement. Showing he can reach us anywhere. Siwon's jaw was tight. Stay with Isol. If anything happens to me, nothing's going to happen to you. If it does, he continued firmly, Mr. On has instructions. You and Isol will be protected. Saiwon. He pulled her close, kissing her hard and desperate. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. Then he was gone, surrounded by security, moving to intercept Kang's men before they could get closer to Isol. Nyelle found Isol with Mr. On near the emergency exit, the little girl crying quietly. Where's Appa? He's making sure we're safe, Nyelle said, picking her up. We're going to leave now, okay? They made it to the SUV without incident, but as they pulled away, Nyelle looked back and saw Saiwon in a tense confrontation with 3 men in the parking lot. It didn't look like talking. It looked like the prelude to violence. Nyelle pulled out the burner phone, her hands shaking, and texted Agent Chin. Kang's men at Santa Monica Aquarium. Confrontation happening now. The response was immediate. Units en route. Stay safe. Back at the estate, Isol clung to Nyelle, refusing to let go. Is Appa going to die like Mommy? She whispered. No, baby. No, he's not. You don't know that. And Nyelle realized with devastating clarity that this child had already learned that the people you love can be ripped away without warning. You're right, I don't know for certain, Nyelle said honestly. But your father is strong and smart and very, very careful. And he has people protecting him. Like you. Like me. An hour later, Saiwon returned, unharmed but furious. He went straight to Isol's room, holding his daughter for a long moment before she finally fell asleep. Then he found Nyelle in the living room. Federal agents showed up at the aquarium, he said without preamble. Right in the middle of my confrontation with Kang's men. Arrested 2 of them on outstanding warrants. Nyelle's heart stopped. That's good. It's suspicious. His eyes narrowed. The timing was too perfect. Like someone called them. Maybe they were already watching Kong? Maybe. But he didn't sound convinced. My meeting with the FBI is tomorrow. I'm going to give them everything, all the evidence I have on Kang, on the operations I inherited, all of it. In exchange for immunity and protection. That's the right choice. Is it? I'm about to destroy dozens of livelihoods. Start a war that could kill people. Also, I can have a chance at being normal. Also, Isol can have a chance at being safe, Nyelle corrected. There's a difference. He moved closer, cupping her face in his hands. I don't deserve you. Probably not. That surprised a laugh out of him, rusty but genuine. Stay tonight, he said. I know it's moving fast, but I need you close. After today. Nyelle knew she should say no. Should maintain boundaries. Should protect herself. Instead, she nodded. They didn't make love, both too exhausted and emotionally wrung out. But they lay in Saiwon's bed, her head on his chest, his arms wrapped around her, and Nyelle felt safer than she had in years. Even as guilt gnawed at her for the phone call she'd made. Even knowing she was lying by omission. Even understanding that when he found out, and he would find out, it might destroy whatever they were building. But for tonight, she let herself pretend. That they were normal. That they were safe. That love could be enough. Nyelle woke at 3 a.m. to voices outside Saiwon's bedroom door. Angry, hushed voices in Korean. Saiwon was already awake, his body tense beside her. Stay here, he whispered, reaching for the gun he kept in his nightstand. Saiwon. But he was already moving, silent and deadly, to the door. Nyelle grabbed her phone, ready to call for help, when she heard a voice she recognized. Mr. On. Can't keep lying to him. It's not right. You'll do what you're told, another man's voice responded. Kong pays us well for information. When Ryu meets with the feds tomorrow, we make our move. Nyelle's blood turned to ice. Mr. On was the mole. The man who'd been with Saiwon for years. Who drove Isol to school. Who'd helped Nyelle rescue Saiwon from the warehouse. Who everyone trusted completely. He was working for Kong. Saiwon must have heard it too, because he flung the door open, gun raised. The 2 men in the hallway froze. Mr. On's face went white. Sir, I can explain. Explain how you've been selling me out to Kong? Saiwon's voice was deadly calm. Explain how you've been feeding him my location, my schedule, my daughter's movements? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Mr. On? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like betrayal. The other man, One of the newer guards suddenly reached for his weapon. Everything happened in seconds. Siwon fired first, hitting the guard's shoulder. The man went down screaming. Mr. On dove for cover, and chaos erupted as other guards came running. In the confusion, Mr. On fled. Nyelle's hands shook as she dialed the burner phone. Chen. It's Nyelle. Mr. On is the mole. He just ran. Siwon confronted him, and he ran. Where are you? The estate. There was a fight. Stay inside. Lock the doors. We're sending units now. 20 minutes later, the estate was crawling with federal agents. Agent Chen arrived personally, her expression grim. Mr. On is in the wind, she told Siwon and Nyelle. But the guard you shot is talking. He's giving us everything, the payoffs, the information network, the environmental crimes. Environmental crimes? Siwon's eyes narrowed. What environmental crimes? Chen pulled out her tablet, showing him the same photos she'd shown Nyelle. Someone's been using your shipping containers to dump toxic waste in protected marine areas. We believe it was Kang, using information from Mr. On about which containers would avoid inspection. Siwon's face went white with rage. How long? 18 months. Maybe longer. I've been implementing environmental protocols, sustainability initiatives, Christ. I partnered with NOAA to protect migration routes, and someone's been using my company to destroy the ocean? It's worse than that, Nyelle said quietly. She'd been studying the photos while Chen talked to Siwon. These dumping locations, they're in critical marine habitats. Coral reef ecosystems. Breeding grounds for endangered species. The damage is catastrophic. Can it be fixed? Siwon asked, and the raw emotion in his voice made Nyelle's chest ache. Some of it. With time and resources. But some of this damage is permanent. Siwon turned to Agent Chen. I want immunity. Not for me, I'll take whatever punishment I deserve. But immunity for my daughter and protection for Nyelle. In exchange, I'll give you everything. Every record, every contact, every piece of evidence I have on Kang and everyone else. And I'll fund the environmental cleanup. All of it. Whatever it costs. Siwon, you don't have to, Nyelle started. Yes, I do. He looked at her with devastating intensity. You've devoted your life to protecting the ocean. And my company, my name, has been used to destroy it. I have to make this right. Agent Chen studied him for a long moment. That's acceptable. We'll draw up the immunity agreement and... The explosion rocked the estate. The east wing, where Isol's room was located, erupted in flames. Nyelle's scream was drowned out by Siwon's roar of rage and terror. He was running before anyone could stop him, charging into the burning building. Isol. Nyelle ran after him, ignoring Agent Chen's shouts. The heat was overwhelming, smoke choking, but she could see Siwon ahead of her, kicking down his daughter's door. The room was an inferno. But the bed was empty. She's not here. Siwon shouted, relief and confusion warring in his voice. A guard appeared through the smoke. Sir. Isol is safe. She was in the panic room. We moved her when we heard about Mr. On. The relief that washed over Siwon's face was profound. He sagged against Nyelle, and she held him as firefighters arrived to battle the blaze. Outside, as they watched the estate burn, Agent Chen approached. Mr. On is in custody, she said. He tried to run, but we caught him at the port. He's confessing to everything, the information leaks, the environmental crimes, even Kang's location. And my daughter? Siwon asked, his voice hoarse from smoke. Safe. In protective custody. You can see her as soon as we secure the area. Siwon nodded, then turned to Nyelle. How did you know to call the FBI so quickly? The question hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Nyelle's mouth went dry. Agent Chen arrived very fast. Almost like she was already on her way. Already expecting trouble. His eyes were hard. How long have you been working with them, Nyelle? Siwon, I can explain. How long? Agent Chen stepped forward. She's been helping us for 3 days. Since I contacted her after the aquarium incident. She's been providing information to help keep you and Isol safe. Information. Siwon's laugh was bitter. She's been spying on me. She's been trying to protect you. Chen said firmly. Do you think we would have identified Mr. On without her? She's been watching your inner circle, reporting suspicious behavior. She helped us save your life. By lying to me. Saiwin looked at Nyelle, and the betrayal in his eyes cut deeper than any knife. I trusted you. I told you things I've never told anyone. I let you into my daughter's life, into my heart. And you were working for the FBI the entire time? I was trying to help you, Nyelle said, tears streaming down her face. Agent Chin showed me the environmental damage, someone using your company to destroy marine habitats. I couldn't just ignore that. But I was also trying to protect you and Isol. I called Chin tonight because I heard Mr. On's betrayal. I've been trying to keep you safe. By becoming another person I can't trust? Saiwin's voice broke. Do you have any idea what it's like to live in a world where everyone either wants something from you or wants to destroy you? And then you appeared, this brilliant, brave, beautiful woman who claimed to want nothing. Who made me believe that maybe, just maybe, someone could care about me for who I am, not what I can give them. I do care about you. I love you. You love me so much you've been lying to me for days? Reporting on me to the feds. I was trying to save your life. That wasn't your choice to make. They stared at each other, both breathing hard, the burning estate crackling behind them. Mr. Ryu, Agent Chin said quietly. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But Dr. Baptiste is not your enemy. She risked her life tonight to warn us about Mr. On. She's been advocating for you in every conversation we've had. And she's the one who convinced me to offer you full immunity instead of trying to flip you as an informant. Saiwin's eyes flickered to Nyelle. Is that true? Yes, Nyelle whispered. I told Chin that you deserved a chance at a real life. That Isol deserved a father who wasn't in prison. That you were trying to go legitimate and shouldn't be punished for crimes you were trying to escape. While simultaneously spying on me. While trying to keep you alive long enough to escape. Saiwin was quiet for a long moment. Then I need to see my daughter. Alone. He walked away without looking back. Nyelle collapsed onto the ground, sobbing. Agent Chin sat beside her. He'll come around. Give him time. He'll never trust me again. Maybe not. But you did the right thing. You helped us take down Kang's network, expose the environmental crimes, and save Saiwin's life. Sometimes doing the right thing costs us everything. As dawn broke over the burning estate, Nyelle wondered if love was supposed to hurt this much. Or if she'd just destroyed the best thing that had ever happened to her. I am devastated. Saiwin just found out Nyelle's been working with the FBI, Mr. On betrayed them, and everything is falling apart. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Saiwin will ever forgive Nyelle? Can love survive this kind of betrayal? Keep watching because the next chapter is going to wreck you emotionally. For 3 days, Nyelle heard nothing. Saiwin and Isol were in protective custody while the FBI rounded up Kang's entire operation. The estate was a total loss. And Nyelle was back in her tiny apartment, throwing herself into her research and trying not to think about the family she'd lost. On the 4th day, Tatiana forced her to eat actual food. You can't starve yourself over a man. He wasn't just a man. He was. Nyelle's voice broke. He was everything. Then fight for him. He doesn't want me to fight for him. He wants me gone. Did he actually say that? Nyelle realized he hadn't. He'd walked away angry and hurt, but he hadn't told her to leave forever. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Dr. Baptiste, this is Agent Chen. Can you come to the federal building? Saiwin is giving his formal testimony, and he's asking for you. Nyelle's heart stopped. He's asking for me? Specifically. He said he won't proceed without you present. 30 minutes later, Nyelle was in a conference room face-to-face with Saiwin for the first time since the fire. He looked exhausted. Worn. But when he saw her, something in his expression softened. Nyelle. Saiwin. Agent Chin tactfully left the room. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Saiwin said, I've been angry for 3 days. Furious that you lied to me. Betrayed my trust. Worked with the feds behind my back. Nyelle's heart sank. But then Isol asked where you were. Why you hadn't come to visit. And I realized something. What? You're the only person in my entire life who's ever lied to me for the right reasons. His voice roughened. Mr. On lied to protect his bank account. My father's men lied to protect their territories. Even my own people lied to avoid my anger. But you? You lied to protect me. To protect Isol. To protect the ocean you love. I'm still sorry I lied. I know. And I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to explain. That I assumed the worst instead of remembering who you are. He reached across the table, taking her hand. Agent Chin told me everything. How you've been advocating for me. How you refused to give them information that wasn't directly relevant to keeping me safe. How you risked your life to save mine. You would have done the same for me. In a heartbeat. He squeezed her hand. I'm testifying against Kong today. Giving the FBI everything they need to dismantle his entire operation. And I'm pleading guilty to my own crimes, the ones I actually committed. Money laundering, racketeering, extortion. I'm taking responsibility for my past. What does that mean for you? Immunity on the environmental crimes. Those were all Kang using my company without my knowledge. But I'll serve probation for my actual offenses. Community service. Restitution. It's a light sentence considering my crimes, but Agent Chin advocated for me. Said I was cooperating and trying to go legitimate. And Isol. Safe. Protected. She'll live with me during probation, and we'll start over somewhere new. Clean slate. Normal life. He paused. If you still want to be part of that life. Nyelle's breath caught. You want me there? I want you everywhere. I want you teaching Isol about marine biology. I want you helping me figure out how to be a better man. I want you in my bed, in my home, in my future. His eyes were intense. I'm in love with you, Nyelle. Completely. Messily. Eternally. And I don't care that it's fast or complicated or that we've only known each other a week. I know what I feel. I love you too, Nyelle whispered. Even when you're angry and impossible and come with federal testimony and probation. What a package deal. The best one I've ever gotten. He stood, pulling her into his arms, and kissed her like she was oxygen and he was drowning. When they finally broke apart, Agent Chin knocked on the door. Sorry to interrupt, but we need to start the testimony. And Dr. Baptiste? There's someone here to see you. A man in a suit entered, early 50s, kind face. Dr. Baptiste, I'm James Morrison, Director of the Pacific Environmental Recovery Initiative. Agent Chin shared your research with us, along with information about the illegal dumping that's been happening. We'd like to offer you a position as lead marine biologist on the cleanup effort. Fully funded for 3 years, your own research team, complete access to the affected sites. Nyelle stared at him. You're offering me a job? We're offering you a chance to heal the ocean. Isn't that what you've always wanted? She looked at Siwon, who was smiling. I called in some favors, he admitted. Used my testimony as leverage. Told them the best marine biologist in California should be leading the recovery effort since my company caused the damage. You did this for me? I did this for the ocean. And for you. And because I'm funding the entire initiative, so I get some say in staffing decisions. You're funding it? All of it. Every penny of the cleanup. It's part of my restitution. His expression was serious. I told you, I have to make this right. My company's name was used to destroy something beautiful. I'm going to use every resource I have to help restore it. Nyelle threw her arms around him, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for showing me that there's more to life than just surviving. That there's beauty worth protecting. Worth fighting for. He kissed her again, soft and sweet. So, he murmured against her lips. Is that a yes? You'll be part of our chaotic, federal probation-supervised, environmental cleanup-focused future. That's the weirdest proposal I've ever heard. It's not a proposal. That comes later when I'm out of probation and can properly court you. His eyes twinkled. I'm old-fashioned that way. You're a crime boss. Reformed crime boss. There's a difference. Nyelle laughed, really laughed, for the first time in days. Yes, she said. To all of it. The job, the future, the chaos. All of it. Good. Because Isol is already planning where you're going to sleep in our new house. We have a new house? We will. Somewhere normal. With a backyard and neighbors who aren't arms dealers. He smiled. Somewhere Isol can ride a bike, and you can have a home office, and I can learn to be boring. I don't want you boring. How about mildly reformed with occasional excitement? Perfect. They kissed again, and for the first time since the beach, Nyelle felt like everything was going to be okay. Not perfect. Not easy. But okay. And sometimes, okay was enough. Dr. Nyelle Ryu, she'd taken his name despite her feminist principles, because seeing his face when she suggested it had been worth it, stood on a restored beach, watching Saiwin and Isul build sandcastles in sand that was finally clean. The Pacific Environmental Recovery Initiative had been a massive success. 3 years of work condensed into 2 through sheer determination. The coral reefs were recovering. The contamination levels were dropping. Marine life was returning to habitats that had been devastated. And Nyelle had led the entire effort. She had a team of 20 researchers, 3 published papers on recovery methodologies, and a standing invitation to speak at the next International Marine Biology Conference. But her favorite accomplishment was much simpler. Nyelle, Isul called. Come see what we built. Mother. Isul had started calling her that 8 months ago, and it still made Nyelle cry every single time. The sandcastle was lopsided and decorated with shells, and it was perfect. It's beautiful, Nyelle said honestly, kneeling beside them. It's our family, Isul explained, pointing to 3 shells arranged together. You, me, and Appa. And soon the baby. She patted Nyelle's small but growing belly with gentle hands. Saiwin caught Nyelle's eye over their daughter's head, his expression soft with love. He'd completed his probation 6 months ago. Had fully transitioned Ryu Maritime into a legitimate, environmental-focused shipping company. Had become boring in the best possible way, PTA meetings, family dinners, weekend beach trips. What are you thinking? He asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. That I'd do it all again. Every scary, impossible moment. Even the part where I almost didn't forgive you? Especially that part. It made us stronger. He kissed her temple. I love you. I love you too. Isul squeezed between them, creating their now familiar group hug. And as the ocean crashed its eternal rhythm, cleaner now, healing, one truth remained. Sometimes the best things in life start with a child brave enough to ask for help. A woman brave enough to answer. And love strong enough to survive betrayal, fire, and federal testimony. Everything else is just the beautiful consequence of saying yes. Even when yes is terrifying. Even when yes costs everything. Even when yes changes your entire world. Because sometimes, the scariest yes becomes the most important choice you'll ever make. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, it leads to everything you never knew you needed. Family. Love. Home. And an ocean slowly healing, wave by wave. I'm sobbing. Are you sobbing? This story has everything: danger, romance, betrayal, redemption, environmental justice, and the kind of love that survives anything. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more emotional journeys like this one. Drop a comment and tell me, what was your favorite moment? Was it when Saiwin forgave Nyelle? When they revealed Mr. On's betrayal? When Isul first called her The pregnancy reveal? I want to hear from you. Share this video with someone who believes in second chances, found families, environmental justice, and the kind of love that makes you brave enough to face anything. Tag them in the comments. Now listen, because I need you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. You think this story is over? You think this is over? Honey, we are just getting started. Mr. On escaped before he was caught, and he knows everything about this family. The baby is coming. Isul's maternal grandparents just found out she exists. And someone from Saiwin's past is about to resurface and threaten everything they built together. Part 2 is coming, and I promise you, it will destroy you emotionally even more than this one did. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it the second it drops. Turn on your notifications. Do it now. Until then, remember, sometimes the best investments are the ones we make with our hearts. Sometimes lies told for love are worth more than convenient truths. And sometimes, saying yes to the impossible leads to everything we never knew you needed. Love you all. Part 2 is coming, and trust me, you're not ready.